Welcome to Atlanta Community Profiles, a show about living in Atlanta and purchasing a home here. Atlanta Community Profiles is hosted by Lou Whelan, who will talk to experts who know this ever-changing city and its real estate industry. We'll talk to mayors, community leaders, and residential real estate experts. Now, here's Lou Whelan with this week's Atlanta Community Profiles.
Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Whelan. I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta on behalf of the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. We publish magazines for the metro area on behalf of FMLS, or First Multiple Listing Service, one for Gwinnett County with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce and FMLS, one for Cobb County with the Cobb Association of Realtors and FMLS, one for North Fulton with the North Fulton Chamber, and one for Inside 285. They're available at all real estate brokerage firms and most chambers of commerce at no charge. They're also available on my website, AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com. I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services, Georgia Properties, and my website is LouWhelan.com. The website for the magazines is simply just AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com. And please let me know if I can help you with any of your real estate needs, commercial or residential. And as you, just an overview on the market, through September, sales for detached are up 3%, and for detached are up 3%, for attached are up 2%, and prices are up 5% for detached and 8% for attached. And at the beginning of the year, I said it's going to end up at 6% for both, and I'm still sticking to that. And it's been up and down and all over the place, but it looks like I'm going to be right on that for at least for one thing this year. The average price for detached through September is $291. For attached is $237. And inventory is a problem. The inventory is down 9% for a detached and down 4% for attached. So, you know, right now we're in really like a seller's market for anything other probably around 700,000. And every week we interview community leaders, and it's great to have Mayor Mike Mason back on the show, Mayor of Peachtree Corners. Great to have you back on the show.
Great to be back, Lou. Thanks for inviting me. I
appreciate that phenomenal job that you've done over there at Peachtree Corners. I've been reading about it all in the Atlanta Business Chronicle and in Georgia Trend a lot, but just you've been a resident of Peachtree Corners for 29 years, and you're the city's first mayor. You co-founded the United Peachtree Corners Civic Association in 1993 and served as president of the organization many times through the years, and led the city to its incorporation in 2012. And
yes,
you're the Gwinnett County's newest city, right? So,
yeah, the newest city. I think before that it was Berkeley Lake in 1953, something like that.
Not that recent. So, and also the largest city.
Oh yeah, we're the largest city land mass and population.
And you hold a MBA in finance from the University of Evansville and a BS in accounting from the University of Southern Indiana. And you moved to Peachtree Corners in 1985, so you know it pretty well. And so your background in accounting has served you well. And I think you've balanced your budget ever since the beginning of the
oh gosh, yes.
And
we're fortunate in Peachtree Corners to be a reasonably affluent community, and we have a zero millage rate. We differentiate from a lot of other cities by the fact that we don't have a property tax rate. It's actually, compared to living in unincorporated Gwinnett, it's actually cheaper to live in the city of Peachtree Corners, where we give a credit from Gwinnett County on their tax rate. Our citizens pay their tax rate, but there's nothing from the city. Most other cities have a millage rate to fund their growth. So yeah. we drive our business from business license fees and franchise fees that used to go to the county. Now they go to the city.
Okay. Well, your city is 17 1/3 square miles
right.
in size. Your population is, the last time I checked, was around 43,000.
43,000 citizens and about 42,700 jobs. We are a major regional job hub, have almost as much. We have the same profile of someone like a city of Atlanta, where you have almost one job for every citizen. The catch is how many of those citizens actually work in your city, and the answer is probably 15%. So we have a lot of people coming in and out. So that kind of defines one of our first problems, which is transportation. We inherited a lot of traffic problems on that key Highway 141, US 141. It goes from 285 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard straight up through Johns Creek, clear up into Forsyth County, and then connects to Georgia 100, way up there. It's a very important corridor for the state, and that's kind of the heart of the city right in there. So it's 45,000 cars a day going right through there on Peachtree Parkway in the city.
I know you have a comprehensive transportation plan, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just for our overview, your median income for your residents is $63,431. 13% of your households earn over $100,000 per year.
Oh yeah.
So it is an affluent, for sure, an affluent market. You've done a great job as mayor in you're going into your second term.
I'm into my second term now, probably a year or so into it. I've got a couple more years on my second term.
So you have a lot done. You've done a lot over there, and I did. And we're going to talk about all the things that you've done. One thing I did pull was a real estate chart here, just for detached homes. I know your overall median home price is lower than just the figure for detached. I think you quote like 270 or something on your website, but for detached, the median is 420.
Yeah,
and it's gone from from a few years ago it was 292, and that was in 2013. Went from 292 to 359 to 343 to 325, and then it jumped up like crazy.
Yeah.
In this month, what's going on? Is that because of tech? Everything going on in Tech Park?
Yes and yes. I'd say the main driver there is a lot of jobs coming. For example, Crawford and Company is moving from the perimeter area. That's 500 jobs leaving the perimeter area, coming to Peachtree Corners. So they'll do the ribbon cutting in November. CGS just left that same perimeter area, and they brought 350 jobs with them, and they're going to be hiring up to about 800 employees by the end of Q1. They got 2 big new contracts. And there have been several other examples of that sort, that there's a lot of demand. People want to live there, but the schools bring it. And the realtors will tell you that if they had more houses, they could sell more houses. There are, and that price point is a tricky thing. There are some very high-end townhome developments in the community. I see Wesleyan private school, well-regarded private schools in the community, and a lot of parents relocate in so their kids can go there. A lot of people live in Johns Creek and bring their kids to Wesleyan as well, but those price points go up in that range pretty quickly.
I know your prices have gone. It's interesting long term. From in January of this year, it was in January is 287. I don't know why, but it went from that to 390 to 388, and now 420. So something is going on there. But if I was a stock market investor and a chartist, I would certainly pay attention to that as a chartist to see, there's an indication of something really good happening.
I would be willing to bet that it's not the top of the market, if that's what you're thinking, that it's time to sell it short.
No, I was thinking just the reverse. Just going up.
You were exactly right. We're about to, one of the biggest things going on in the city is our town center. That's, if you know where the Forum is, it's right on the main drag going through town. We broke ground in June, and that's going to be, it's about 20 acres. The Forum is 500,000 square foot of retail, very high in retail. Right across the street is going to be about a 2-acre town green, 10 or 12 restaurants, a Cine Bistro, very high-end movie theater, is going to be there, and then a botanical garden and a pedestrian bridge, we hope, going across, joining the people. As I said, that's not a safe, you can't cross at grade very safely, so we're hoping to be able to work on something like that. But that's going to be connected to the rest of the city by an 11.5-mile multi-use trail. It's going to be about 12 feet wide, going through the office parks on both sides of 141. And what that, it'll anchor down in the middle of Tech Park. If you know Peachtree Corners, Tech Park has two lakes right in the middle. And that's where we will have our, it's called Echo Lake. It's a big millennial housing project.
Well, you've had an article in Georgia Trend and Atlanta Business Chronicle lately, and they talked about that. So the secret is out, and that's why your prices are going through the roof in September. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. I'm Lou Wieland, and we're sitting here with Mike Mason, mayor of the great city of Peachtree Corners, the largest city in Gwinnett County and the newest city in Gwinnett County. And we were talking about the town center, which is a 20-acre development that will be, I guess, completed on December of 2018.
That's correct. It will be, the best way to think about it is, we broke ground in June of 17. June of 18, it will be ready for what's called tenant fit out. In other words, it'll look pretty much the way it's going to look in 1 year, 17 to 18. And then from June until probably November or December, that gives 3 or 4 months for the people who are tenants to get their signs up and to make it look like they want it to look and to finish things up. But the roads and the streets will be there.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, if you would like to see, there was a great article, a whole supplement actually in Atlanta Business Chronicle on your city, and then also a big article in Georgia Trend. So if you're listening out there and you'd like to get more in depth, you might check out those two publications.
Those were great articles.
Was September Atlanta Business Chronicle?
Yeah,
I think
September and October.
September, and that's why your prices went crazy. I hope. Anyway, but I'm sure your citizens are happy about that. So you have the town center going up opposite the Forum, which is, and there's a prototype of that in the Atlanta Business. Is there one on your website too?
Oh yes, absolutely. Great looking renderings of what the town center will look like. It'll match the French provincial architecture that's on with the town. Yeah, the town center will of what's on at the Forum.
All right. So a lot of that article talked about Tech Park, and. I was reading when Mr. Duke, I guess, started Peachtree Corners. Yes. He talked about, and that a long time ago, talked about the concept of live, work, and play. That was from the very, very beginning, and before most people even used that term. So you've really amplified on his concept, and that with the new developments at Tech Park.
You're so right. The people tell me why you're doing a great job in Peachtree Corners, or me talking to me. Paul Duke did it. he created, those cities have to come up with a name. I mean, like, what are we going to call our city? We didn't have that problem. We were Peachtree Corners from the beginning because of Paul Duke. And it was his vision. And that phrase, live, work, play, he was using it before it became popular. The concept of a planned city was one he pioneered. And he did a great job in Peachtree Corners. Alzheimer's robbed us of his vision and his brain, great brain. But he left a great legacy that we're just following up on. Matter of fact, that is one of our key initiatives right now. If you look at Tech Park, what he had, it was the original Atlanta high-tech hotspot. We were working with a guy named Wayne Hodges, who was the one of the founders of Georgia Tech's ATDC. He was their first director and one of the founders. He was an emeritus professor there when he finally retired. He knew Paul Duke personally, and he tells these wonderful anecdotal stories about Tech Park. However, what is it today in 2017? It's an aging suburban office park. And if you don't look at it for what it realistically is, you're kidding yourself. So we have done a innovation hub master plan to try to revitalize Tech Park to be what it used to be. And one of the things that we did, one of the things they recommended, of course, was you need some housing there. And so we have gotten, it's called Echo Lakeside. It's about 290 units of millennial housing on 1 and 2 bedrooms. They're priced for the young. Think of it as workforce housing for Tech Park when you've got a lot of high-tech companies still in Tech Park and a lot of them coming in there. It provides a place for young millennials to work. Prototype Prime, which is our incubator, business incubator. Matter of fact, Thursday night of this week, everybody that's listening to this radio is welcome to come to Prototype Prime for their first birthday party. It's 147 Technology Parkway in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Free beer, free pizza, and cupcakes. And we started a year ago with 2 teams and 3 employees, 2 startup teams. Right now we have 13 startup teams, probably 40-something employees, and 6 openings. And the openings are all for coders. So if anybody can code JavaScript, come on down. But humor aside, that is something that when you think about the rate of growth of small businesses, it makes a big difference. And so we're starting those young high-tech companies just as Tech Park did in the 70s and 80s in Peachtree Corners.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. And we have your city hall is over there too, right?
Yeah, our city hall is actually upstairs from the incubator. Incubator's on the first floor, and we're moving the city hall to 310 Technology Parkway. We're voting with our dollars. We're not building a city hall, and we're not going to move to a more conspicuous place. We're staying in Tech Park, and we bought a building that had been it had gone on the courthouse steps, and someone bought it and had been empty for several years, and we bought it from that owner, and it's much bigger than we need, but we're going to be able to rent out the upstairs and net down the mortgage payment to the point where we're paying about what we're paying right now in rent. So yeah, we're moving to a new city hall, 310 Technology Parkway. We'll be in by the end of the year.
Okay. And so there's a lot of, we talked a little bit about that briefly, there's a lot of residential development going over there. I noticed Peachtree Residential, Brand Properties, and Duke Reserve are all building over there.
Peachtree Residential and Duke Reserve are both of those townhomes that are on Spalding Drive that goes kind of a major east-west corridor through the city. And the one of them is in front of Norcross High School, and the other one is down across from the public library. And they're both they're beautiful subdivisions. I cut the ribbon on both of those, and they're coming up. They're looking great.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's Brand Properties is Echo Lakeside. That's the millennial housing project that's deep in the heart of Tech Park. It's going to be right on 2 lakes, and they deeded the land, some property, and that was right on the lakes. And so what we're going to do is put a walking trail around it and open it up to the public so that people can get into the 2 lakes. And that'll be the start of our 11.4-mile multi-use walking trail, biking, running trail through the heart of the city.
And that'll connect Tech Park to the Forum, right, into Town Center, the new Town Center, that trail.
We will be able to get, you will be able to get from the heart of Tech Park on the multi-use trails, which at certain points will be on 10-foot wide sidewalks, because we won't have completed some of the trails on some of the easements through the office park pieces of it. By the time we break ground do the ribbon cutting December of 18. So yes, and then it'll cross to the Forum, go down to the YMCA, if you know where that is on Peachtree Corners Circle. Take a left and go through. There's some easements through the office parks down there, and it'll look great.
11.4 miles. That's pretty ambitious. But and what I will say too, that I read on your site or some of the other publications, that you will have not only apartments, but you'll have detached and attached, and units that appeal to both the millennial segment of the population and the people who are kind of
you mean like
active adults.
That's very euphemistically put. Empty nester and retirement housing is what we call it. And there is an overlap. Baby boomers, my generation, baby boomers, are ending up in some of the same kinds of housing that millennials like, 1 and 2 bedrooms. But they have so many more possessions, millennials being minimalist, that they want a little more square footage. So, some of the housing is going to be a little bit bigger.
So you have the full gamut of types of living accommodation.
A lot of development in the city right now.
It's very exciting what's going on over there at Tech Park. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Blue Whelan, sitting here with Mike Mason, mayor of Peachtree Corners, the largest city in Gwinnett County. And let's see, I was a pretty high percentage, by the way, of your residents have a college degree. I've read different figures. What is the correct figure? Is it 60%?
It's about 60%. To be honest with you, I forget that. I learned those statistics for State of the City addresses, and a lot. I'm a numbers guy, and numbers stick with me pretty well. But that one's not one that's stuck in my brain. But I will say this: it is so significant that we are a pretty good target. We've talked to the folks at Georgia Tech about the concept of lifelong learning, so much so that we're beginning to talk about a program of. We talked about Paul to live, work, play. How about put another one in there? Live, learn, work, play.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that.
And so
remember. And at my point in life, I have a hard time remembering figures, especially. The older I get, the shorter my memory. I don't know what that correlation is. There's a definite correlation.
I can't imagine.
But 59% or 60% or something around there, and you have 2,300 businesses that are in your city.
That's right.
Last time I checked. We have so much to talk about before, in a short time, but I do want to talk about parks, because you are really prioritizing that. Yeah, I can see in your development. And I know you have, what, 5 parks? Is that
Well,
correct?
green space is important to us, and the tree canopy, they're not making any more of that. So when you look at what we could have done with the town center, we put in a botanical garden, and we're, instead of having a lot of surface parking, we came out of pocket for the, a 750 unit parking deck, because there's some surface parking, 250 units, but it's one of those that we just don't want to keep taking all the trees down. The same thing, we've got places in the city that when we have a tree bank, obviously, so if a developer takes a tree out, we work with them on that. We have a trails and open space ordinance. Probably the most significant thing we've done was when Simpsonwood Methodist Church, Simpsonwood Retreat, came along, and they needed to sell their property, 248 acres, I think it was, on the Chattahoochee, pristine, beautiful. The biggest interest was from the development community, who wanted to nestle homes back in there, and we in the county bought it as a park, which is in our city, the most recent park, and we gave the church $2 million to go with the city's $14 million as an incentive for them to pick the county offer to make it a park over a development offer, which was higher, to be blunt. So the church wanted to commit to leaving it green space, which is what they had it all these years. So that's very important to us. It's very important to our citizens.
Beautiful, right on the river there.
It absolutely is. Now, the other piece of property that's going to be in play soon, and next time I come talk to you this time next year, we'll be talking about, is the old Fiserv site on East Jones Bridge Road. Mm-hmm. That's also on the river, and that still is. I think it's 5 big office buildings. It was Check Free and then Fiserv. Mm-hmm. And right now, the new owners, all good guys, who just bought it, I think it went into receivership with Wells Fargo, and they bought it at auction, are talking about a variety of things, including or possibly being residential. But the residential they're talking about is empty nester and retirement, okay, which would work for our population.
You have the Jones Bridge Park, Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area, Chattahoochee River at Medlock Bridge, and the one at Jones Bridge, Holcomb Bridge Park, Simpsonwood Park, West District Aquatics.
Yeah.
So I can see they're really observing and respecting green space.
Those are county and Department of Interior parks as well, but they're in our city limits. You're absolutely right. The Aquatic Center, I think, is in Berkeley Lake, but that's okay. It's right next door to Peachtree Corners.
West District Aquatics.
The Aquatic Center, yeah. But it's one of those things that it's very important to our citizens, and that's why we work very hard to do that.
Well, I'm sure that that's part of the reason why your prices are going through the roof. I noticed in January of 2016, Doug Hooker over at ARC gave you a certification of ARC's Green Communities program. So congratulations.
Thank you. We really worked hard to get that. It's not something they just give you. But most recently, which was like last Wednesday, the Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful organization gave us their Green Government of the Year award, which doesn't mean I gave them a lot of money. It means that you had to demonstrate a commitment to the tree canopy and keeping your community clean and beautiful. So that's something that's important to us and our citizens as well.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Extremely important, and I'm sure your citizens appreciate that very much. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Lou Wieland with the mayor of Peachtree Corners, Mike Mason, and in his second term, and the first and only mayor of Peachtree Corners. So we know that pedestrian traffic is very important to you, and promoting that and facilitating that is a key priority, and that I'm sure will serve you and your community very well. Just could you give us a quick overview on the comprehensive transportation plan that you have adopted?
Sure. Last fall, going into the spring, we completed a comprehensive transportation plan, which was a massive amount of community input on what are the intersection problems that the citizens see. We hired some real smart traffic consultants and had them measure the intersections. And if you think about it, we get traffic coming from Forsyth County and from Johns Creek and Roswell, all flowing into our community. So, we have to consider that. The 141 corridor, we just completed a 141 corridor study. And some of the things we learned from that are very, very key. And we're going to be announcing some of those very soon. And I hesitate to talk about it on the air here, but we've identified probably a couple of 3-4 things that we're going to do. Here's the bottom line. There is no magic bullet. If it were, all the other cities would have done it too. Because traffic is, the people in cars, and they can make their own decisions and live where they want, and businesses can start where they want. You're going to find that it's a lot of little things that make a difference. And what you want to do is do whatever you can to keep traffic flowing, and that's where we're going to be concentrating our efforts. We're going to be putting in around our town center. We know that if we put it there, people will go there, and so there'll be traffic jams, and we'll have caused them because we want people to go there. So we're putting in a traffic circle there right on Peachtree Corners Circle off Medlock Bridge. We're giving some, easy right turn lanes off Bush Road so you can go north without getting out onto Medlock Bridge. We're looking at any number of those little things. But more importantly, we're encouraging people to walk. And you mentioned a moment ago about housing prices going up and what was causing it. We find there's a correlation with the walkability and housing prices, that we're spending an inordinate amount of money on sidewalks, streetlights, and the multi-use trail that I spoke of. And the citizens really like that and really respond to it.
What priority do you attach to economic development, bringing companies in?
Let me introduce you to our economic development director. It's me. It's that important.
I've met him already.
Get him on the show.
I have to have you back and talk about that, because that could be a whole show.
Knowing me, it would be 2 shows. But economic development is key. And, it was when we did the Yes campaign. I probably spoke 35 or 40 times around the community. And what I said was the community's at the tipping point, because Gwinnett County is a big county. Peachtree Corners was probably one of the more developed areas because of Tech Park. It's a lot of commercial base there. But it looked great and at that time. But as it aged, it started to not look as nice. It needed the personal attention of a city. And that's why our citizens said, you know what, that makes sense. So since we've gotten a city, the statistics are dramatic for the amount of economic development before the city and after the city. It's it's several 100% higher, in terms of the number of companies, the number of jobs we brought, and the amount of economic development investment.
Well, you don't have a lot of land left for development in Peachtree. I forget where I saw a figure somewhere like. So you're not totally built out, but you're going to have to start building up, I guess, right?
You're right, and that is something that what I said a minute ago about the parking deck on Town Center. It's 3-story, but one of them is below grade, so it doesn't look like it is. But a lot of our area is hilly, and so you can get away with building a 5-story building if you put the down in a lower area where it doesn't give you that high-rise look.
Okay.
That it would here in Buckhead or
like
in the city of
California
Atlanta.
does that a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
But there's not much to your original point. There's not much land left. Probably the only land left is probably the Pfizer property there on East Jones Bridge Road.
You know, the word was on your website, Smart City,
Yep.
which applied to your new town center. Tell us a little bit about that concept.
Well, a smart city is one, we've got a number of examples, but a smart city generally is one that uses technology to help their citizens. Within the next month or two, we're going to be coming out with a city app and for your cell phone. And on it, you can, for example, when the town center's up and you want to know whether you can park, if there's any parking places left on the parking deck on the town center, just call that app up and take a look, and they'll tell you exactly where the parking places are on the town center, or you'll say, hey, that's full, I'll park at the Forum and cross there. That's a good example of the kind of thing we'll be doing.
That helps with security, too. I understand you have some security cameras.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will.
Well, thanks for being on the show. We could talk quite a lot longer to cover all the new things going on over there, but what a magnificent job you've done over there.
Thank
and just little over one term, your beginning of a second term, so continued good luck. I know we could talk about the new companies over there, or the banded Comcast and Crawford and Glenfield Capital, and there's so many.
Glenfield Capital's done a great
many
job
cool
for us.
things going on over there, and be sure to check out their website. It's to really learn about it, and might be a good time to buy a home in Peachtree Corners with the kind of prices that are you're in. Right now, it's a good time, but the prices are headed up for sure. So thank you very much, and now stay tuned for Dr. Bill Williams, Chairman and CEO of Swanee Dental Care, our dental health expert.